So overall, everybody did really nicely. And big improvement from your 6Q tests. And your 6Q tests were really good too, so it's a big step forward. But of course, we're going to find things to nitpick because ideally all these will be even better by your 4th Q test and your 3rd Q and so on. Again, in general, the tests were very solid. Chuck's especially was an unusually solid 5th Q test, one of the better ones I think I've ever seen. All the extra work shows, all the extra training, thanks to Tro for putting all the time working with you. And also thanks for the UKs who did a nice job. And now to the list. So it's mostly small things. In the Joe work, you weren't always getting to the end of the Joe. Sometimes you change position, and the end would be a few inches from the end of the Joe. So just be aware that we, in our style, we always have one hand at the end of the Joe, kind of overlapping the end of the Joe. Tuomote to ura, right? Chuck did tuomote to ura, but both Justin and Scott, I think what happens is in the regular practice, we don't do that very often. We either do a mote or we do ura and you do 4 of them. So the person, you start with the mote, so you do 4. And then you might remember, oh yeah, I've switched to ura. So when you get ready for the test, really kind of put yourself in that mind frame. And maybe we as instructors need to structure more test prep, even during the classes, not just during the Sunday before that. It'll really drill the tuomote to ura. As you get into higher level, people look for that even more. Also, another thing to improve as you advance more is to invite the attack better, to have a very clear presentation. So if you are dividing a morotodori, you're going to have one hand out. That means ryotodori, you're going to have 2 hands out. Well, for sure, to yank that extra hand a few times. But then you got it then. So again, a lot of this is testing nerves, and many of these are issues that you've never had before. But on the test, things are on the line, so things fall apart. That's partly why we do the test. And hopefully, by the next test, these issues will be out of the way, and you'll come up with brand new ones. In Shihonagi, almost everybody tends to turn their back on their partner in the mote. So you tend to step a little too far here for your partner, and you're turning your back on your partner. The rest of the technique is fine, and the ura looks fine. So remember, you want to maintain the same line as the line between his toes, and as I step here, my hips stay square. So that allows me to brace his balance, and then I just turn to face upward. So I'm not going to get my back there. This was in Shield. In EQ, there is some pushing that's very common, especially in the ura, right? And Alex and I talked about that. Ura is tricky, right? So if I want to do EQ, what I can sort of get away with it because I'm supposed to enter. So even if I'm pushy, but in ura, if I push, it's away. If I don't push and I don't get kuzushi, it doesn't come with me. So get your body in, sink your center, extend, there's elongation of the seam. This is tricky stuff. This is not. If you could do this really well, you should not be testing for 50. But these are things to work on. Turn to the list. I noticed on the pins, your feet were kind of in different positions different times. So you're doing the pins, and it should be in kiza with the heels close together, but sometimes it would be here or so. There were a few that were fine, but sometimes I think it's not integrated. The habit is not integrated as much into the I'm pinning, that's my place. One comment about sort of negotiating the space on the mat and having zanshin. Everybody has issues with that because we don't it becomes more important during the test. It's something we don't practice a lot during class. During the test, you're trying to present it. Justin had the hardest time with that. And so when we started technique, I stood there. So then you automatically were returning to where you were. You were kind of stepping towards his feet instead of towards his head. Then he can't see when he gets up. He comes again, and you do the other side. And sometimes you even, right? So in general, disengage after the pin and everything. Disengage from uke with awareness and attention and zanshin towards uke, and usually along the arm and towards the head. So in ikkyo, it means that we're going to be changing sides every time. In other techniques, it might not be. I thought I was going to remember two things, but I have to go back to the others. Oh yeah. Tenchinage ura. You were wanting to turn the wrong way, but you fixed it. Remind me to show you after class something about the rising spiral deflection. I think my sword was hitting your tsuba every time, and tsuba broke. If the deflection is done right, there's actually no contact with the tsuba. The tsuba is just there for extra safety. So it's something we can work on, and I can show you. But usually it's a timing and the spacing of the raising, and there's a hip or a waist turn at the right time that owns a line and deflects the kaizen sword. Generally, the awareness of the weapon seems pretty good for everyone. So that's it for my long list.
Oh, there's another thing. You know the rising deflection. Somebody was getting a really huge hit. Bam!
My sword was hitting the tsuba.
Yeah.
So instead of wood to wood.
We fight pretty bad ones.
Yeah.
You know, that's supposed to slide, and not go 90 degrees. Okay. So it's.
Oh, just one more note. On Nikkyo, Katadori Nikkyo Omote, I'm supposed to open the front foot just a little bit, just to make space for the cut. You were remembering to do it, but you were usually going too much. You were changing hanmi completely. It wasn't just you. So these are all relatively small things. And again, on the whole, the tests were very good.